A ribbon of water through the Egyptian desert carries roughly 12% of world trade, and for 2 years it became a shooting gallery. Nearly 1 in 3 containers moving between Asia and Europe passes through this single channel, so when it stumbles, your shelves feel it. This is the story of how the world's greatest shortcut became its most dangerous waterway. And the question underneath is simple. Who pays? In 1869, after a decade of digging, Egypt opened a channel that erased the long voyage around Africa in a single stroke. The shortcut saved ships thousands of miles, and whoever controlled it controlled the fastest sea road between Europe and Asia. In 1956, Egypt nationalized the canal. Britain, France, and Israel invaded, and the world learned this waterway could start wars. In 1967, war closed the canal completely, trapping 14 cargo ships inside for 8 years in what sailors called the Yellow Fleet. For 8 years, the desert sand piled onto their decks, while the stranded crews played their own Olympic Games and printed their own stamps. When it reopened in 1975, the world had changed. Supertankers, container ships, and a global economy addicted to speed. By the 21st century, the canal was moving over 1 billion tons of cargo a year, a choke point with no real rival. Then, in March 2021, a single ship the size of a skyscraper turned sideways in the wind and wedged into both banks. The Ever Given blocked the canal for 6 days, holding up an estimated $9 billion of trade every single day. Hundreds of ships stacked up at both ends, and the world got a preview of what happens when the shortcut shuts. It was an accident, cleared by tugboats and a full moon's tide. The next crisis would not be an accident. To reach the canal from the east, every ship must first pass the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, a narrow gate beside Yemen. In November 2023, helicopter-borne fighters from Yemen's Houthi movement seized a car carrier called the Galaxy Leader and its crew. Its 25 sailors would be held hostage for more than a year, and their capture was only the opening move. The Houthis declared they were targeting ships linked to Israel over the war in Gaza. Then the definition kept widening. Missiles, drones, and remote-controlled boats packed with explosives began hunting merchant ships along one of the busiest sea lanes on Earth. By late 2025, the campaign counted more than 100 separate attacks on commercial vessels flying the flags of dozens of nations. In March 2024, a missile struck the True Confidence, killing 3 seafarers, the first crew members to die in the campaign. 4 ships have gone to the bottom, including the fertilizer carrier Rubimar, which leaked its cargo into the Red Sea as it sank. The bulk carrier Tutor followed in June 2024, hit by missiles and an explosive drone boat near the port of Hodeidah. In July 2025, coordinated swarms sank 2 more ships in a single week, proving the threat had never really gone away. War insurance premiums for a single Red Sea passage multiplied almost overnight, and one by one, the world's shipping lines did the math. The world's biggest carriers, Maersk, MSC, Hapag-Lloyd, pulled their ships out and pointed them the long way around Africa. Traffic through the canal collapsed from about 26,000 ships in 2023 to roughly 13,000 the following year. Egypt watched canal revenue crash from a record $10.25 billion to under $4 billion, a $7 billion hole. For a country already in economic crisis, losing 60% of its canal income was a blow measured in national budgets, not headlines. The alternative route rounds the Cape of Good Hope at Africa's southern tip, the same path the canal was built to kill. The detour adds roughly 10 to 14 days and thousands of extra miles to a typical voyage between Asia and Europe. Each diverted voyage burns hundreds of thousands of dollars in extra fuel. For big tankers, close to $1 million more. By one industry estimate, the long way around swallowed 6% of the world's container capacity, simply because every trip took longer. Freight rates spiked, insurance climbed, delivery times stretched, and the cost quietly filtered into the price of almost everything shipped between continents. Warships from a dozen navies converged, American, European, and others, escorting convoys and shooting down drones over the sea lanes. Airstrikes hit launch sites across Yemen, yet the attacks kept coming, because cheap drones are easy to replace and hard to stop. A drone costing a few $1,000s can force a $2 million interceptor into the sky. An equation navies cannot win forever. This is the new anatomy of a choke point. Not who owns the canal, but who can credibly threaten the water leading to it. Because here is the thing. The canal itself was never attacked, not once. The danger lives hundreds of miles south, at the gate. Egypt could dredge, widen, and modernize forever, and it would change nothing, because the canal's fate is decided in someone else's war. Then, slowly, the pendulum swung back. Ceasefires held, attacks faded, and by 2026, carriers began testing the short route again. Traffic has now grown for 3 straight quarters, up more than 20%, and January and February brought record monthly revenues. Egypt is chasing $10 billion a year again, courting the giant carriers back one scheduled service at a time. But the fragility has not gone anywhere. The strait is still narrow, the drones are still cheap, and the world still has not diversified. Ships are returning because the math flipped back, not because the threat was solved. And math can flip again in a single night. The Suez Canal is not dangerous because of what it is. It is dangerous because of how much we decided to hang on it. 12% of world trade, a third of Asia-Europe containers, one national budget, all riding on a strip of water a few hundred meters wide. So, when the world's greatest shortcut becomes its most dangerous waterway, who pays? Check your receipts. You already did.